Welcome back, everyone. In this video we're going to see if my $2,000 auction by Powerstroke actually needs an engine or not. It was listed as burns lots of oil. The owner was very adamant that yes, it needs an engine, and that's really all we have to go on, except for a lot of clues that are on the truck, which I'm sure you can probably see already. So I know it's windy, it's really cold out here. Be glad you're not standing out here doing this. So I'll give you a quick walk around, let you guys draw a conclusion from all the stuff you see. Then we're going to pull it in the shop and tear it down, and we're going to see if it really needs one. I have a hunch that it doesn't need one right away, but you know, we're going to see. When I get in the shop, I'll explain it better. So here's what we're dealing with today. It's a 2000 F350, single wheel F350. Got 282 on it. It's got about 100,000 on a new motor. And well, the truck kind of speaks for itself. It's got like a 4 or 6 inch lift, but it's a 2-wheel drive. I haven't looked under there real close to see if it's got the aftermarket I-beams or what it has. Got the oddball spare on it. Got some missing trim, dings and dents. Got a gooseneck plate, so keep that in mind. And whatever was in the said gooseneck really loaded this truck down. So this thing had to work really hard. Got a big 4-inch exhaust. Apparently it's leaking something too. Got an aluminum wheel, big tip, lots of soot. Remember, keep the soot in mind too, along with the gooseneck and your spring and the exhaust. Missing tailgate. I guess it keeps you from taking the tailgate out with the gooseneck hitch. More dings and dents. I guess the back tires match. Got a fancy gooseneck hitch, that's always good. Oh, and yeah. Guess it's got some lifting blocks in the back. I don't know. I'm not real sure how much of a lift this thing has. Trim's falling off and it gets better. This is where the good stuff starts. So, you got an LED and some kind of button that likes to kill the battery. Got your gauges, you know, standard on a diesel if you're gonna mod it. Got some more gauges. Another gauge. Another gauge. Got a sub, which they left the subwoofer in. It's got a fancy radio. It's got one working speaker. It's got the dash mat from the original owners. I think I'm the 4th owner according to Carfax. It's a Lariat, however you want to say it. It's got all the leather, it's been worked. Oh yeah, it's got one of these. Not real sure how this thing works because I've never messed with the Tune 7.3. But apparently it's got a new ECM because the guy, I talked to the owner, we'll get into that too, but I guess it was running and he decided to unplug it and fry the ECM. We got brakes, oil, more tears, a sign of things to come. And there's going to be kind of a twist in that story when you see a lot of this, but we'll explain it in the shop. Fully loaded. Got a gray cat. You know, you got some holes there. I thought it had the blacked out lights. Nope, it's just someone pulled off the lenses. And this is cool. It's got a winch. I thought it was like hacked in, but I actually kind of think it's meant for the truck. But I don't really know how useful it is because there's no trees within about 4 hours of here that you could tie to and pull this without pulling them out of the ground. And it's 2-wheel drive, like I said. So I'm probably gonna pull this out and put it on my gooseneck. Another clue, if you know, you know, it's 7.3 stuff. I always tell people, if you're gonna own a 7.3, make sure you don't have to rely on it because it's gonna leave you walking or give you an unwanted day off from work or something. every single time, and I've seen that from other people's experiences. Not hating on it, that's just a fact of life. You don't know how many customers I have where, oh, I need 4x4 because of the mud or the haul the cows, and when it breaks, it's like, oh my God, I gotta haul my cows, I gotta get to work. And like, well, first step was you need to get something reliable and keep this as a toy, because unless you bought it new or it's a very nice specimen, it's gonna leave you walking. I've had my share of issues with these trucks, but I like them. It's a love-hate. So, got your standard mismatched batteries. Every poorly taken care of 7.3 has them. Oh, this is good. If you know how these air boxes are, you know that that's probably not a good sign. More or less of a good sign. Or wait, another bad sign. It's early for me. So here's where it gets interesting. So you see the orange paint. This isn't stock. And again, I'm not hating on this stuff because I'm big into, you know, performance stuff. So I think it's cool, but when you see a truck like this, usually it's ragged out and needs an engine. But we're gonna find out if it really does. So you got this boost controller. Surprised they didn't delete out the intake heater. It's got a bigger turbo in it. I haven't quite figured out what the turbo is, but I know it's bigger because of your billet wastegate shrouded housing. I took these off, they're right here. We'll get to that when we get this apart. That'll be another tail sign, whatever. Oh yeah, I gotta remember, I got kind of nailed in the head. I forget that too. Probably why I can't talk. Big downpipe, diesel sight stuff. Don't know if you can see, those look loose. That's a boost leak. Gray cat again. AC doesn't work. There's no diesel in the coolant, so your cups are good. You see all the oil spilled here. Like, you know, someone's adding oil to it all the time. So, yeah. So all this points to, yeah, someone ran it super hard and it's gonna need an engine. I saw that and I agreed. You guys should probably agree too. So let me show you what I found. Now that you're probably thinking, oh yeah, that engine's dusted or melted piston, which that's not out of the realm of possibility yet. But let me show you the thing that really throws everything off. We also got this underneath too. And I'm probably gonna straight pipe it. Maybe put stacks on it. We'll see what we have, if it needs an engine or not, if I can even use this truck. Anyway, so this thing drove home 120, 130 miles, used 2 gallons of oil, and it didn't smoke. I mean, it had black smoke because I think this thing has some, yeah, that's another thing too. It's got single shot injectors, probably AC code injectors, because this thing was built about 2015 to 2019 in that era. Didn't smoke, and I'm like, huh, that's not right. And I remember my days working for the school district that had a fleet of these, and how one day we had a bus, handicap bus, drove in, ran kind of choppy. They said it had low power and ran funny. And you know, when it parked at an incline. And look at where the sump is in relation to the rest of the engine. It's at the back. Anyway, we go out there to get it, it won't start. You know, do everything, ether it, you know, the works. Government vehicle, no one cares. Give it all the ether you can give it. Wouldn't start. And then I remember something I'd read, and this is probably it was probably 2009, 2010. Got to thinking, I remember reading about some issues these things have and how we'd put injectors in this bus. Well, pull the fuel filter, and just like this, look at that. And that's coming out of our filter. And that's a fuel filter, guys. That's not an oil cooler or anything. Oh, look at that wiring. Huh. Anyway, I didn't know that. So what I think's wrong, or one of the big issues where our oil's going, is injector O-rings. That bus, we had used Dorman injector O-rings for some stupid reason. I have no idea. And it busted all of them. And the reason it wouldn't start for us was it pumped all the oil into fuel. Since this uses hydraulically actuated injectors, you don't have oil, it's not going to run. It's almost impossible to blow up one of these engines because I think below 7 psi, it can't provide enough pressure to the injection system, the Huey system, and it shuts down. So yeah, that's our oil in the fuel. And I'll show you another reason too why I don't really think it needs an engine when we go to start it here in a second. All right, it's cold start time. So it's a familiar sight right there for anyone that owns a Powerstroke. We all know they're not going to start if your batteries are pretty well anything older than 3 weeks old and it's cold out. And before anyone starts with, oh, you're bashing Dodges, we got all 3 makes of trucks here that are all the same vintage. And I can tell you that every one of these things is a piece of crap in its own way. So, not bashing, they're all junk in my opinion. So let's see if this thing will start. They put blue LEDs and everything on this gauge cluster, so you don't know if you have a check engine light or the glow plug lights on or anything unless it's dark out. So let me show you what it does. No glow plugs. There's your smoke. Got a bit of a miss. I don't think you can see the fog I'm seeing. So it's got a bit of a miss to it. I don't know if it's a bad injector. The fuel's full of oil. I mean, it's obviously misfiring. So I don't know if it's a dead hole, combination. At this point, who knows? But I'm gonna quickly pull it back to the shop, pull it in there, and I guess we'll tear it down and see what we have. I don't know if you can hear it, it's ramped itself up. And it'll smoke like that till you get on the highway and get some heat in it. So I don't know. Could have a dead hole, might have, I don't know. But it runs smooth, not knocking or anything. So I don't know. I don't really trust these gauges either. I mean, they're great when they're new. But like the oil pressure, I know reads wrong. That's right. I'm not sure on that one. This one will peg itself for no reason, your EGTs. Trans temp, that one works, I think, and boost. So, yeah. We'll get it back in the shop and let's tear it down. I think I've said that about 5 times already. So here's some more clues as to why I'm kind of conflicted. So air cleaner, it's not clogged, could be better. But look at all that dust this thing's eating. These are notorious for this. I always stick one of those big Donaldson air filters on. There's one guy on one of the forums, he's always complained that you get higher silicate, whatever, in your oil samples, but I think it's whatever he's got in his pipe, because that's a lot of crap going through. You can see there's some more. So not a good sign. And then you've got that. That's from your blow-by, your CCV. Crankcase ventilation, it ventilates it back into the intake tract on these 7.3s, where the bigger trucks, they do the 444, they do it out the side like a normal truck. So not good, but your charge cooler acts like a giant catch can for the oil, so I guess in a way that is good. And there's our turbo. Looks like a 66 millimeter. I'm gonna go grab a light and we'll get a better look at it. Well, actually, there we go. Get you in there. Got some light. Yeah, that doesn't look real well, does it? Spins good, but you can see that. See, the fins are kind of eroded. So you can imagine what the rings look like on this. Oh, and the mice are setting up shop in there too. But I'm gonna do away, like seeing how dusted it is, I am gonna do away with some of this stuff. And I got an air filter I'm gonna throw on here because depending on how it runs is gonna depend how much I care or not on how long this engine lasts. And if you're thinking I'm kind of taking this thing together kind of sloppy, you're kind of right, because I'll be halfway careful, but you know, I'm not super keen on this thing being in great shape either. So let's see what kind of injectors we have here. We have, I don't know, let me get you guys zoomed in. What are you doing? You can't go anywhere, it's apart. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. I don't know what he's doing. So here's what I found. I don't know what to really make of it. So you can't see it, but that's an AD code. Another AD code. Those look like they're original or OEM. And then your long lead injector, the LL. So those are factory style injectors, so who knows, maybe this guy swapped in injectors in it. I have no idea. I probably need to call the guy that built this, but I just haven't. Huh. Oh. Now look at that. Maybe that's why his glow plug's not working real well. That doesn't go there. Not at all. So I probably should throw glow plugs in here. But then I got sticker shock. They're $15 a piece, and that's my price. I don't trust buying them online, so I think I added up, it's like, let's see, 30 for each two. I don't know, like 130. I can't, it's late, I'm tired. For whatever it costs for glow plugs, I can buy a lot of electricity for the block heater and a lot of ether. So, you know what? We're not going to do glow plugs. But I am going to swap the injector O-rings, so yeah, that's where we're at now. Got this side out, and I did find a couple major issues. And give you a bottom side shot of this masterpiece. So, let's see, we'll start. Try to figure out which one's the worst. This one's pretty bad. So if it'll focus, if you see that tip all coked up, you get that from running waste oil, or in this truck's case, it was running its own oil, which in the form was waste oil. And every injector is pretty well like that. You shouldn't have this fuzzy stuff up all over the tips. And then another issue I found, this one's a little corroded. What we used to do is some WD-40 and a Scotch Brite pad, polish it up and throw her back in there. And is this the one that's got the issue? Yeah. So this is what I was talking about. This is where it's getting into your fuel. Yeah, that one, you see some erosion on it. There's another one, I don't think it's this one. There's another one that was way worse. If I can find it. I usually find it by braille. Where'd it go? Well, I don't know where it went. Maybe it was this one. It just doesn't pick it up on camera. Yeah, it was this one. Yeah, there you go. There's a better shot. that O-ring is just about gone. But that's not the biggest issue. And you guys in the diesel world know, when you see that name, that's pretty bad. I'm not going to say it, but you see it there. These were 11 to 15, so I don't know what they are now. Supposedly they were split shots. Well, I'm guessing they were split shots. It runs like split shots, so I don't know. But I know when you see that name, it's bad, bad news. I mean, I know that from personal experience, more than once. If that was a snake, it would have killed me as many times as it bit me. But somehow it's still running, so I don't know. What I'm going to do, I'm going to replace all these O-rings. The copper washers will clean up that injector. I'm going to try to clean these tips up. That's what's causing a lot of the blue smoke on top of it eating its own fuel, or own oil. Here's a before. I'm having to zoom in because it doesn't like to focus very well. But you can see that thing's coked up and it's pretty bad. And this is after. So you can see the hole in it. I don't know why this thing wouldn't want to focus. But anyway, so you get the idea. It wasn't spraying right. You could put a hole in the piston, stuff like that if you run it hard enough. Also, this was our rusty one. Need to clean it up a little more, but I think it'll survive. That's not a nick on there, it's just some oil. So like I said, not doing this perfect, but I just want to see if this thing's junk or not. I'm going to continue on, and we'll come back once, I don't know, whenever. Well, I didn't really film putting these things together, the O-rings and stuff. But if you don't believe me, I did it. I got a whole pile of them. Yeah, don't forget to put your little rail plug in. So basically, there's not a whole lot to this. It's just more stuff that's got to come apart. They're a lot easier in a bus or a truck. And something else I realized too was, where is it? I think it's got a bellowed up pipes. I think in my life, they make a big deal out of those up pipes on these. And I want to say, I think the last time I saw a bad up pipe was like, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Maybe it's a thing up north, but it seems like it's way overblown, just like the crank position sensor. I only know of 2 people in the last 20 years that have had that problem with one of these. And same with the up pipes. It was a truck we worked with. I think it was at the school. Maybe it was one I worked on, but yeah, it had a leaky up pipe, and it seems like it's an overblown problem on the internet. All right, guys, finally got this done. It's past midnight. I'm gonna call it a day. Well, I didn't get it all done. I got this side done. All nice and gold. Look pretty good when it's cleaned up. I don't know how well it'll run. Get an air filter tomorrow, I guess, because I don't know what I want to do yet. I do know these are planned obsolescence on these Fords. This whole air filter setup, just real cheesy, real crappy. When I've worked on that fleet, we'd have buses that had 18,000 hours plus on these 7.3s. They have a totally different air filter setup, and we never had any issues with them getting dusted, or if they were in this kind of shape with the blow-by and stuff, they were well worn out and ready for a crate motor. And, you know, that was 20,000 plus hours. So, I don't know. Ford dropped the ball here. So, who knows? I don't know if the new ones are like that. I don't think so. I think they had engineers that were, you know, better. They'd grown up seeing stuff like this. Engineers that are my age probably help engineer some of this new stuff. Anyway, enough of my ranting. I'm going to go in. I'm tired. We'll continue on that in the morning, or here in a split second for you guys. So I got it finished. I didn't feel like filming the other side because it was a pain, and it'd make it even worse having to film. Drove it probably 20 miles last night. Right now it's 34 degrees. Let's see how this thing starts, or if it starts. If you see in the Arctic, Like Russia, those kids are all bundled up when it's 50 below. You gotta have clothes like that if you own one of these, because chances are it's probably not gonna start when it's cold. So I don't know, probably gonna crank till the batteries are dead, but we'll see. And like I said earlier, I think there's no glow plug light or anything because I put LEDs for everything. Wow. It's not even smoky. I'm all amazed. Maybe I should quit talking so much crap about this thing. It's been a few days since the last clip, and I put about 300 or 400 miles on this. Doesn't use any oil, but the new problem we have is in gear it'll idle itself to about 950 and shake and shudder real bad. Throw it in neutral, it calms down, but it sounds like it's got, you know, top fuel dragster cam, the way it idles. Everything on the laptop looks good, but I noticed that high pressure oil gauge on the steering column was wrong. And if you look at this somewhere, I don't know if the camera picks it up well. For one, that wasn't a good crimp. And then like right here, that was part of our issue. But then it gets better. So this is your ICP injector control deal. Let me clean that up for you. Didn't do much. Now, if you can see, so it was, that gauge inside was piggybacked off this. I give that, I don't know, 3 stars as far as it's crimped. But if you look right there, you can see where they're all coming apart. So I suspected something was wrong with the sensor with the way it was idling and assumed maybe it was a eBay sensor. So I threw one of these old style known good ones on, because you know I used to work on these, so I got a bunch from when we changed them out. Nothing wrong with these. Changed it out and it would run for about 5 seconds or 5 minutes and then shut off. But then when you unplug it and it defaults to its normal value, it would run all day long. And there's a better view of what our issue is. So what I figured was, when I put the new sensor on and it was a different spot, that these were somehow twisted and arcing out on each other, and it was giving the computer a bad reading. Well, can't let it run like that, so I got an updated part. Got the part from the dormant part, 904222. But if you see, it's just a so much better part. And we got our little rubber stuff here. Much better. So whether or not it's going to fix this, I don't know, but I know this sensor's good. I took it off a good running truck, customer's truck, because it's a deal where it kind of has to run. So gave him the new updated part, kept his old one, and for diagnostic purposes, and here we are. It's coming in handy. So we're gonna go change this out, get this truck warmed up, and then see if our problem went away. Here's a much better view of what we were dealing with. I don't know if this was some crappy aftermarket or original. Either way, this wasn't gonna work. And here's what it looks like now, all nice and done up the correct way. And while I was in here, I was gonna see if it had a boost leak, because it sure sounds like one, but I've never heard what a shrouded housing with a big air filter sounds like, so maybe it's normal. Sounds like a hair dryer under boost. And then I always check that the IPR harness, because they like to rot out. And if you can see, it's been fixed before. And then some of you guys that like to Powerstroke, if you look down there, you might see an issue. You guys that know these. Uh-oh. I dropped the phone in there. So let me zoom you in. You see that? That's the end of your IPR. So anyway, there you go. Stick your hand in there. That's part of our running issue right there. So, yeah, I'm surprised this thing even ran at all. I have another IPR. I think I can steal the nut off it, hopefully. And if not, it's probably down in that valley somewhere, so I'm gonna have to go fishing. Let's see what I can figure out. I ended up taking the spider off. I call it the spider, the X pipe. Went fishing under there and we found all this goodness. So I was right about the boost leak. That was laying in there, so that'll save me about 20 bucks. This is the spacer that goes on the IPR. That'll save me some money, and then just some random, this goes with the intake heater, but some random crap. So this is, probably just made you guys seasick, whatever. This is what's missing. This part is that spacer, and this is the tin nut I need. And then they're known for falling off. I don't know how you'd keep that thing back on, but whatever, maybe some Loctite. And when that spacer's missing, it allows this whole thing to go back and forth. I guess I could show you. So this is what we have now. This is what it looks like sitting under there. Oh, that's like frozen on there. This is off one of those high hour buses I was telling you about. The engine came with all new parts, so I took this with me. But down there, it's sliding back and forth. That'll make it do some funny things because that controls your fueling and stuff. Anyway, I'm gonna get this thing back together. We're losing daylight. I didn't intend for this to end up like this. It's supposed to just been a simple pigtail swap, slap it together and go for a drive with the laptop, but it's not turning into that. But next video, or not video, next clip should be driving it, so we'll see. Before I show you all the diagnostics on the laptop, we're gonna get rid of this gauge up here. I know people are like, why would you get rid of it? You know, you need it. Well, because I'm gonna run this truck pretty well as stock. Maybe the turbo that's on it. And it was reading way off anyway. I don't like how it piggybacks off of the actual sensor. I prefer one that, you know, read through OBD2, kind of like this dude does. So, you know, it's gotta go. And plus, who drives, you know, under 70 anyway? I need to know how fast I'm really going. So it's like, you know, tearing down the Berlin Wall. Great day for everyone here. So this ain't gonna happen with one hand. So I'll bring you guys back, but I just want to show that because that makes me really happy. A lot less clutter in my way. That's better. These will go one by one. I have a boost gauge already. I like having the, is it ISPRO, or an autometer for the EGT. Well, obviously that's wrong. This one's got to go. See, as soon as I play with it, maybe it'll stay. I don't know. So here's what we've been waiting for. Let me shut this top light off. Maybe it'll come out better. So what we're seeing here is this is your pedal position. These are for your AC clutch. It's the middle of winter, so we're not worried about them. All three of these. This is your fuel pedal. I think 10 to 15 is normal when it's idling. I think it only opens 80% when you're full throttle, 85, somewhere in there. This is your desired, your injector control pressure. Oh, well, what happened? Well, I guess that's it for this. We'll come back to that. I have no idea. That's why you don't buy bootleg stuff, guys. I don't know if you can hear it, but it does kind of sound like a boost leak still. I'll probably just need to put I have a tester somewhere, just slap a tester on there, pressure it up, and see where it's coming from with soapy water. But otherwise, it seems to be running good. We're climbing the grade coming out of town. I mean, not really a grade, but it's about 4 or 5 miles of constant climbing. But it's doing a lot better than it was doing last night. It's sitting about, I don't know, 3 marks from 0, whatever that means. I got a 30 PSI gauge stick in here because I don't really plan on going more than 30 PSI. Like I said, this truck's a work truck. It's gonna just work. I don't need it 500 horsepower, whatever it'll put out. But yeah, it kind of sounds like a hairdryer whooshing, hissing noise. None of the boots in that valley or on the Spider looked bad, so I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the compressor housing's coming loose on this turbo. No telling. But yeah, that's kind of want to show you. Oh, you can see the pyrometer's pegged out. I caught it this time. It'll go from 7 and just instantly peg, so that's something wrong with the gauge. Can't tow like that. But yeah, so we're gonna exit up here. I'll show you what it still does when you come to a stop, and I don't really know what causes that, but other than that, I mean, it runs pretty good, and yeah, I'm happy with it so far. Now, I'll let you go. When we come to a stop, I'll show you exactly what it was doing and what it's still doing. Here we go. So you come to a stop, and the RPMs are about 950. Throw it into neutral. Goes right back down to idle. So I don't know what causes that. I'm thinking leaning towards a sticky IPR valve. And like I showed you guys, we have that other one. The reason I didn't do it then is when I changed the oil, I think this guy didn't change the oil in the 3 years he had it because it was nasty. So I wanted to, you know, cycle some of that oil through there, change it a couple times so that way I don't contaminate a new used IPR, a good used one, and, you know, be scratching my head. But other than that, it's my only gripe with this truck. But in the daytime, tomorrow, we'll kind of go through it better and we'll decide, does it need an engine or not? It's been about 2 weeks. I put about 11 or 1,200 miles on this thing, and I'm happy to report that it hasn't used any oil. There are a few little changes in here from the last clip. We'll just start here. The radio died, being a Chinese radio. Who would have thunk that? So I replaced it with another Chinese radio that came out of some impound car I'd had. It'll work for now. I wasn't sure, you know, what direction I wanted to go on this truck, but I really, really enjoy driving as much crap as I talk about it, and I still will. These Super Duties, I mean, I like the Super Duties. Not a fan of the Powerstroke, but the Super Duties are great. So I'll get another radio in here. I just threw that in for the time being because I had it. I will upgrade these to auto meters. I don't want to get rid of my fuel pressure and my trans temp because, you know, they really are useful. This will tell you when to do a what do you call it? Fuel filters. That'll tell you when you're going to cook a transmission. The very optimistic glow shit gauge that would read 24 PSI was off. Go figure. This thing will do about 15, 16, which is about stock. It's got stock programming. I don't know what the injectors are, but they're going to come out too. I got an odometer, pyrometer. All that stuff just came in today. And yeah. So real quick, let me show you what it was doing, and then we'll wrap this video up. We got 4Scan going with the full battery. So, and before I forget too, I did put an IPR in here. I went ahead and changed it out one day. Didn't change how it was driving or anything like that. But I did find my issue, or an issue. So if you see these circuit, glow plug lamp circuit, not that one. I might have fixed them too. Airbag circuit. So what this was, and I didn't realize, oh, that's new. Both of those are new. But anyway, what I realized was the gem module on here, if you remember, and you can see, like, we got the oil water light. That's what we used to call them. Check engine light's not on, but usually it is. The guy had put LED lights and everything, and I guess they don't draw enough amps, so the gem module, I believe, or whatever modules, all of them, will report that the circuit's bad. But this one right here is why we're going to end up doing injectors in this truck. On top of the fact they're Pensacola injectors, and if you read back, it's pretty bad. So we'll just go, I'm trying to remember which one it is. Service functions, no, here we go. Key on engine on electrical test. And I'll show you what it's doing. This probably explains a lot of its running issue right here. So that's the injectors buzzing. I don't know if you can hear it. So just finished. And then that'll pull the codes out of the IDM. Cylinder 1, 2, 7, 3. So basically what we have, and I have put another IDM in. It had a new one in here, which I found out when I pulled it out. I was expecting one full of water or some kind of damage. The wiring checks out good, but if you remember the injectors and what I said about them, yeah, I believe that's what's causing all our issues right here. Because this truck runs fine, and there is some good info on the forums, as much as I rag on them, because there are a lot of dumb people on there, but there is some good info. And if you look up, you know, those Pensacola injectors, Pensacola 7.3 is what I looked up, and you go back about 10 to 15 years, you'll find guys that have these exact symptoms. They have IDM codes, rough idling, just all this goofiness with their truck that started when they put these in. So how these things made it 100,000 just blows my mind, and not all of them did. I think 6 out of the 8 did, or 5 out of the 8. But that's what's causing, I'm going to say that's what's causing all our issues, because if the wiring's good, your IDM is good, I mean, what else is left? And these codes come up with 2 different IDMs, so, you know, like this right here, open bank 1, high side open bank 2. You know, I could throw a harness on here, and it's probably still going to throw these because those injectors are that bad. It's something to do with the solenoid and something shorting out, blah, 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 whatever. So that's where we're at on that. And just to wrap it up, I'll show you the blow-by. There you go. It seems to run okay. I don't know if you can see. It does have a little bit of a shake to it. And here's kind of like the moment of truth. So you see that's all the way off. I'd say it probably has one down. That number 3 is probably a little bit low. I don't think it's got a hole punched in it or anything, but it could, never know. There's really no knocking or anything, so I think it might just have a busted ring. But if I'm only using a quart of oil in 1,000 miles, 1,200, that's not bad. Don't worry about that. Someone lost an O-ring when they were checking the injector wiring harness, and they just didn't care. So let me get you back in where it's not so noisy. So no, I don't think this thing needs an engine right away. And real quick, it decided to do its high idle thing. And if you look, everything's, you know, right on par. I'm messing with the throttle pedal myself. Trying to figure out why it's so touchy. But if you see how it kind of like does that, that's another sign of injectors I've learned from experience. So no, I'm going to say yes, it needs an engine. Doesn't need one right away. Chances are if this thing lets loose, it'll probably do it somewhere on I-40 in New Mexico where it actually has to work. From my experience, I like to blow up going down a hill when there's no load on them versus going up. So there's plenty of downhills there. That's my bets. We'll see. Because I'm going to keep running this. The next video, I bought a turbo, high pressure lines. I bought all the stuff to set this truck back to stock, and we're gonna go backwards. Most people mod them. I'm gonna put it back to stock, and you know, we're gonna see how good this thing runs. I mean, it could run a lot better. It runs like crap, honestly, but I'm still getting hand calculated 16 and a half on the highway. You know, it's been reliable so far. It's been all over. Stupidly, probably shouldn't be driving it that far from home, but I have. So anyway, I'm just gonna end the video on that. Keep a lookout for the next video on this. It might be in a couple weeks. I got a couple more in between that I'll upload. Try to get better at uploading this stuff. So hope you guys liked it, and we'll see you again.